All right, today we got a 2016 Nissan Rogue, okay? And customer called me out because he said that there was he couldn't start the vehicle. So first thing I noticed, this was connected to the vehicle in the front, and this is the original engine computer. And I looked at this; it looks so scandalous, man. I don't know what you guys think. Look at this. Drop me a line in the comments. What do you think about this engine computer? How it looks? Okay, I just was so suspect when I saw this, and I told him, I said, "Hey, man, is there any damage to this computer? This just looks, something's off." He's like, "No, no, no, everything is fine." So I said, okay, well, let me go and check. And I had no communication with the engine computer. So I went and asked him again. I was like, "Are you sure there was no damage to this computer?" He's like, "No, it came like that." I was like, "Did you open it?" He said, "No." So I'm like, okay. So I did everything that I should. I checked powers and grounds. I tested CAN lines, everything. Everything was perfect. Then I got to the conclusion, this engine computer, it's got to be bad. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to open this computer." So that's what I did. And so, in fact, the screws were very loose, just like, you could just use a screwdriver and take them off. I'm using my fingers because I loosened them up. But once I did that, I'm about to show you. Look at this. Look at this. You see that? And this whole thing came apart like this. The glue was already broken, the seal. You cannot just unscrew these things and open them up like this, okay? And this board, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it's bent. You see that? It's actually cracked, somewhat a fracture in this area somewhere here because from the accident, this whole thing was twisted. Look at that. You see that knock up in there too? And this guy opened this thing up, straightened it out, or straighten out the case and put it in there, and made me waste all my time doing a diagnosis on a fractured PCM, and he knew this. So just a quick note, sometimes some customers are a little scandalous when it comes to giving you the full history of what's going on with the vehicle. But he's going to pay for that diag time, but that was something unnecessary. I spent probably good 45 minutes double checking and triple checking, and it was accident. It was actually broken, and 9 chances out of 10 he knew this, and he still made me go down that path. But either way, here's what we're going to do. I got a replacement in, so what we're going to go ahead and do is program this used ECM to this 2016 Rogue. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this up right now. All right, so I just connected it up. Let's see if we get that check engine light, and we do right away, which is a good sign. So I'm going to go ahead and power up, and we're going to do a diag. Let's go to Nissan. Accept. Auto. Read. It's communicating with the ECM. Now we've got the VIN number. So let's go OK. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can change that, because that is the incorrect VIN number for this vehicle. That's the VIN number that came with this used PCM. So yes, diagnosis, control unit, engine, special functions, VIN registration, and let's go ahead and put this in. All right, got that in. Enter it again. Till it okay. All right, so definitely go back and watch my previous video on brain transplant of the Nissan Rogue. I've got a lot of details on the ECM secrets, so it's not going to let us modify the VIN like this. We're going to have to do it manually, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's on that video, all the details. All right, so let's go ahead and do the immobilizer. So I'm going to exit out of here, go back, emo, Nissan, and let it do it auto. So that okay. We've got the key, so we got the ignition on, 44%. And it is a crank, no start right now, by the way, guys. So that's with the used ECM. And of course, we got our security light on. All right, so we're all loaded up. Let's do an emo scan. Go ahead and see what we got here. Of course, we got our immobilizer code here. Okay. All right. And let's check the ECM. Yeah, that's about right. So that looks good. That's what we should get. Let's try emo learning. ECM learning. Yes. Ignition off, hazard switch. Open and close the driver's door. And this one's going to be okay. Ignition switch. So we got that. We're going to put it like that. Okay. Oh, I got to connect. All right, I'm connected. Tell it okay. All right, so we're going to press the switch, then put the key, and there it is, flashing the light, and the light went out. Tell it okay. Ignition off. I just did it. It's off. Program success. The next one, no. So we're going to press the start button, put the key against it. All right, now we're going to turn it off. Tell it okay. Program complete. So let's see if it'll start. Right, now crank and die. We're going to give that another try. Okay. Our security light came back on. Let's do another. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, so that was a fail. It's not accepting the relearning of the immobilizer data on this one. I'm pretty sure I've done these before. It could be because of the year of the ECM I've got. This one came from a 17. But either way, no big deal. What we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and pull this chip. I'm pretty sure this chip looks like it's in pretty good shape. And we're going to go ahead and do a transplant like we did on the last video, guys. So you guys requested you wanted to see the whole process. I'm going to go ahead and film the whole thing, guys. Definitely hit the thumbs up button, guys. It takes time to edit these videos for you guys. Click that thumbs up button and let's continue. All right, guys, here I am back at the lab. So what we're going to go ahead and do is prep this. We're going to go ahead and remove this chip. While we're at it, we're going to go ahead and remove the EEPROM. And this is the original damaged board, right? So we're going to start with this one first. And definitely remember, guys, for any tools, definitely want to head over to our website, globalcommerceca.com. Pick up your EEPROM readers, your flush cutters, your detailed tweezer sets. We got the ultra fines for you guys. When you're doing this kind of work, you got to have the right tools, guys. Head over to our website and pick that up. So here's how we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and apply some flux around this chip. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to go ahead and do, the solder they use is a pretty strong solder here on these chips. So the MCU. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually apply low melt solder here. And I'm going to apply it with my soldering iron. Also, I've got a review on this on the channel. Excellent iron. It's become my primary iron, mobile and in the bench. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out the microscope, put it under the scope, and show you the actual removal process with the heat gun. All right, so first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is hit it with flux right at the pins. Come all the way around. I always do a visual video really close up at the complete area here where I'm working at, because when you apply heat, especially from a heat gun, it's very easy for your components to get blown away. So with that video, it will definitely help you, orientate everything after that. I'm gonna heat my heat gun up to, I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna bring it down to, bring it to 280 for this. And we got some low melt flux here, rather solder here. We don't have it available yet, but this will be available soon on our website, globalcommerceca.com. So now I'm just going to pretty much, I don't know if you can, how good you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try to give you an angle at least to see some portion of it. So I'm pretty much going to apply the low melt all the way to the perimeter of the chip, as you can see, just like that. So I have it everywhere. Let me kind of come in close so you can see what that looks like. So you see that? And I'm going to do that all the way around the chip. Okay, so I'll bring you back. All right, so I pretty much got it around the whole perimeter. So basically what this does is it's going to mix with the solder that's on the board. And as you can see, this thing is, it's at a very low temperature, and it'll stay actually liquid form for a long time after you pass on it with the solder. So in fact, you can actually desolder with just the soldering iron when you're working with low melt solder. But this is just a technique I use. It requires a bit more cleanup, of course, because you do have to remove all this low melt solder before you reapply the chip to the board. So, but this way, to me, it's less heat on the chip, less chance of damaging the chip, because now this chip can be removed really quickly with the heat gun. So I'm going to go ahead now and remove this chip. Also, you want to pay attention to the orientation, like the lettering, how the chip is placed, because you don't want to have the chip and replace it in the wrong orientation. You can fry it. Of course, it's not going to work, all kind of different things. So you definitely want to pay attention, guys. So I'll bring it back. Now I'm heating up my heat gun, and I've got it pretty much to the maximum setting. And the reason why I do this is because it's going to liquefy the solder really fast, and that's going to be less heat, less time with heat on the chip. And that's the goal when you do this kind of job. You do not want to have that chip hot for very long. You want to minimize, have the shortest amount of time with heat on that chip. So right now I'm applying the heat. And once I see that low melt starting to flow around that chip, then I know it's ready to come up. That should be pretty much right about now. I don't know if you can see, but okay. I don't like to leave it that much longer, as long as I did. So I'm going to give it a break, go over it again one more time. I'm just going to move. In fact, I'm going to show you that low melt is probably still liquefied right now. See if you can see that. See that? It is still liquid. So that's just to show you how long it stays in liquid form compared to normal solder. Okay, so I'm going to maybe apply a little bit more, because at the level that it is right now, pretty much liquid form, it should have just lifted up pretty easy. So I'm gonna just go make a couple passes with the iron some more, maybe apply a little bit more just to make sure, because I like within 20 seconds to remove a chip. Anything longer than that, you got risk of damage. So I applied quite a bit more. And like I said, with the iron, I could have just went around, made some passes, kept this liquid form, and just lifted up the chip as well. But I prefer a uniform lift with the complete thing hot and lifted up with the tweezers. So that's what I'm actually going to do. The main thing is you get a clean lift. You get less chance of bending or deforming the pins, which is less work on cleanup, straightening, and aligning when you got to resolder. All right. Heating it up. Yeah, this chip is coming up. There it is. That's it. What's up, guys? So that's about the longest I would want. In fact, it's a little bit too long for me, but I'm trying to have the camera right here so you guys can see. I would have been a bit quicker normally, but the chip is up. So now what's left to do is clean up on this chip. We're going to go over with the solder wick, and we're going to clean up all the low melt solder off of this. We're going to put it under the microscope and also double check and make sure all the pins are straight, straighten them out, and then we're going to get it ready for placement on the donor board. We're also going to remove that EEPROM chip. Sometimes just to shortcut, I actually scrape a little bit on the coating on the chip like that and right here, so I know my orientation would be like this when I go to place it on the replacement board. And same premise, I got the iron hot. I'm going to hit it. Have my tweezers in place. We've also got the IC puller. That's it. Just that quick. We got the chip off. And with that short amount of time of heat exposure, you're pretty much going to be okay as far as it'll be tough to damage a chip like that. So we got that chip off. Put the stuff away. All right. All right, guys. I went ahead and ran the heat gun up here and pried. Check out the last video, the brain transplant video, and you'll see exact steps. And we've got it open. So now the next step is we're going to remove this chip, and we're going to then prep the area to receive the original chip. And this is going to be my pass to where I'm going to have video now to verify the correct placement of all these little capacitors. You can see at the perimeter of the chip, because it's very easy for these to be blown out of place or something like that. So that's what I'm doing here, guys. All right, guys, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the board. So as you can see, we've got some of that low melt solder there. And being that it clumps very easily, so I can actually just brush it out of the way. And the remaining residue, we're going to clean up all these solder pads. Okay, so we're going to use solder braid to go ahead and wick, rather, to clean this up. And as you can see, I'm applying flux. You need to make sure you got flux all on there. You don't want to have this thing dry so that your braid will stick. So you want to avoid sticking. You want to have your iron probably around 280, I would say, to clean this up. And yeah, make sure you got flux. As you can see, I'm applying more flux to make sure we pretty much soak up all that existing low melt solder. You do not want any low melt solder here. So here's the chip, and as you can see, it also has the low melt on it. So we're going to apply flux, and the same thing, we're going to put our braid and we're going to run our iron across it. And I would keep this definitely at 280 or a little bit less, maybe 270, because you do not want to apply too much heat to your chip. And you want to make sure you just pull that low melt off and run some more flux. Cleanliness is next to godliness, man, especially in an operation like this. So taking your time and cleaning this up is very important, because that low melt on there can cause you issues if you do not remove it all. So we're removing it, as you can see, on all four corners, all four sides of this chip. And I think there was a little bit left there, so we got that out. And as you can see, one of those legs are bent, so I'm using the tweezers and just straighten it out. That sometimes happens when you flip a chip or you move it a little bit. These are very delicate. And here I am placing it back, and you want to check all four corners and make sure you're all lined up. And at that point, I put a little bit of solder on the corner to lock it in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and then start soldering each individual legs. Now, I couldn't actually find my tip. I used a knife tip for this type of work, but my guy that works here in the daytime, I usually burn in the midnight oil doing these things. and I don't know where it was at, so I used this tip. So it caused a little bit more bridging than I would like. I didn't really like the outcome I got. It gave me more work to clean up, but it did get the job done, as you can see. Always remember to apply flux, and you definitely do not want to have your iron too hot. You do not want to stay too long. I would stay on each leg about probably 2 seconds at the most. You want to always, let me tell you something, heat is your friend and heat is your enemy. When you're doing this, you got to know how to balance it. You go too much in one way, you have a problem. Too much in the other way, you have a problem. Right here, one of these chips blew out a little bit, so I'm just straightening it out, kind of putting it back in place. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect 90 degrees, as long as you got good contact on those pads, and you'll be fine. So here I am going with the tweezers and checking each individual pin, and where I found that there was one possibly loose, I marked it. I just put a little scrape on the flux at the top, so I knew to go back there and touch it up with the iron. As you can see, I got my finer point there, and I'm touching up these pins that I suspect or I noticed that might not be firmly soldered. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean up. There's a bridge here, and I believe there's a couple more bridges, so we're going to clean that up. I'm going to use some cleaning, 91% at least alcohol, and clean up. Then we're going to retest all the pins, make sure we got a firm connection on everything, and touch up anything that we might have left. And that pretty much it, man. You know, take your time with the finer tip here. I'm going here and touching up, making things, make sure I have very solid connections and that my solder joints look good, clean up. And, you know, that's pretty much it, guys. All right, guys, so everything is done. Moment of truth. I've transferred everything now. I went and verified everything, as you saw. I went ahead and pinned it out. I'm going to show you the pin out if you haven't seen that already. Let's see here. I've got it hooked up to my breakout box. And let me turn it on. I see communication here. That's a good sign. Let me go here on the scanner. Let's see if we can communicate. Accept. So if we can get the VIN number, then we know we're good, guys. Auto. Read. It's going. Bam. All day, baby. There it is, guys. Done. We're going to go ahead and close this back up, head over to the vehicle and test it on the vehicle. Man, if you need these services done, head over to our website, globalcommerceca.com. You can send it into us. We can get this done for you. Let's go. Now let's go, guys. Guys, I got the lab working overtime. If you haven't picked up your ultimate CAN bus tester, head over to our website, globalcommerceca.com, and pick yours up today. We got them in stock. All right, boys, moment of truth. We got the repaired ECM. So we're going to go ahead and our brain transplant, right? We're going to go ahead and try it out and see. So here's the car. Go ahead and connect it up. All right, so we got to connect it up. Let's connect up the battery. Let's see. No power. Missed one. Okay. Good news already. No security light. Let's see. Bam. And it's running, boys. You see that? Another success, man. Hey, let me tell you something, Nissan. Do not test me, man. Do not test me. Hey, GM already hates me because I started a global movement, man. People are fixing cars that GM was expecting to be in the scrapyard, but it's not happening. We don't play them kind of games on this channel, man. We're not going to let them scams happen at all, man. It's not going to happen. Oh. There's a leak from the accident. So, oh, look at that. So they're going to have to fix that.